We're listening to every type of punk rock. Each week, we're checking out 5 records from a different punk genre, and the subgenre is chosen at random. This week's subgenre is emotional hardcore. Stay tuned towards the end to see what genre we are tackling next. Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Punk Rock Radar, and today I am joined by Kyle, aka Immortal Coil, and we are going to be talking about emotional hardcore. This is the first in our series of checking out every punk rock subgenre and giving them all a chance and kind of checking out around 5 or so popular records that, seemingly, the most popular record, maybe an oddball thrown in there, and kind of getting an overall feel for the subgenre and kind of rating it towards the end. So obviously, I'm familiar with emotional hardcore. How familiar are you with emotional hardcore, Kyle?
So I've listened to like 3 of these, I think, before, but never like in depth the way we just did for this video.
Yeah.
And I've always thought of emo as being something totally different. Like I'm even wearing my Cheer Up Emo
Well,
Kid shirt today,
th- th-
you know?
this is why I chose it, honestly, because I remember this was like the first like sub genre that I remember people arguing about.
Okay, I
Like
can
what
totally
it
see
is.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I was like getting into music, getting into punk, like emo was, of course, like Fall Out Boy. It was
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance. It was even like Paramore would be considered emo. And I
Yeah.
just remembered once I'm getting into punk rock and going to different punk forums, there is just all of these people being like, yeah, that's not real emo. Emo is DC emotional hardcore from the 80s. It is embraced. It is Rites of Spring. And I remember because of that, checking out these bands and just being like, this sounds just so far off from what emo is. And it just kind of sounds like punk music, hardcore to me from the 80s. Obviously, there is differences, and we can get into the differences as we go. But this is the first one I remember like people arguing about, and like people like using an old genre to like call something new it, and then other people being like, yeah, you just stole that name from emotional hardcore. This is not real emo. This is like something else entirely. So
Right.
this is, technically what emotional hardcore is, like a DC East Coast version of hardcore that is a lot more melodic in a lot of ways, a lot more introspective lyrics. It's not as like political. It's not as like tough guy energy.
For sure.
And it was kind of supposed to be a little bit of a countercultural up against that kind of tough guy punk rock style, where we're going to have a lot of like more emotionally aggressive lyrics and a lot of more like, vulnerable type lyrics, but still it's obviously still very hardcore. It's nothing like, a Paramore record.
And it all happened around like the same time as all the hardcore stuff was coming out too, right? So how could it not be?
Yeah,
So,
it's the mid 80s this really took off. DC specifically, it seems to be like mainly just DC bands for the most part. We have one non-DC band in this mix, which I think is Gray Matter. But I guess we'll just get into the records we listened to. What's the first one we
so
checked out,
the
Kyle?
first one's going to be Embrace. And it's a self-titled Embrace, and
Uh,
no shocker, it's on Discord. So yeah.
yeah. It is. And it's Ian Mackay from Minor Threat formed this band after Minor Threat fell apart. And Embrace, I remember everyone saying Embrace is the band that invented emotional hardcore. Them and like Rites of Spring, I think, are the two main ones. People say these are the people that invented emotional hardcore. And it really does just you listen to it, it sounds like Minor Threat a good bit, obviously, because Ian
Yeah.
Mackay has such a very distinct voice, but a lot more riffs. It's not just like aggressive power chords. Even like songs like what's the one? No More Pain. It's like a really slow mid-tempo song. So I enjoy it quite a bit. What do you think of like the Embrace album? And have you listened to this one before?
This one I had heard before, not like a ton, but
Hmm.
yeah, I love this one just because I love hearing Ian McKay's voice. Like it just felt like Minor Threat, but a lot slower, right? And I was even thinking, like,
Yeah.
do you think they just got like punched in the head so many times that they were like, we need to slow this down, and like
They getting punched
this
in the
was
head.
this was their excuse to like not not be violent anymore. Like I don't know, that's what it feels like. But
From like aggressive straight edge shows to like much more. I feel like emotional hardcore shows back in the day were quite aggressive though. I wasn't a part of it, but I feel like those kids. I mean, we see like the screamo kids going crazy nowadays. So
for
in the
sure, for
pit.
sure. I guess
So
it was probably, yeah, it's still high energy at the shows. But the thing I was thinking too on this, like lyrically, right? Like when I think of emo, right, I'm thinking of these bands singing about like their girlfriends and that kind of stuff. Whereas this album's more like introspective and like questioning
yeah,
whether or not where they are in life and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Which I like way more than like what I normally think of emo lyrics being, right? So
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like the girlfriend lyrics are way more like later pop punk and emo. I guess like I don't think emo like even like the My Chemical Romance stuff. It's just a lot more like I'm trying to think like more theater kid ish, a lot more
yeah,
poppy and stuff. Where this is like definitely coming straight out of the hardcore scene, and also you can tell it's like trying to differentiate itself from just like hardcore in a lot of ways, being like, hey, we're not just going to sing, there's not going to be like, we're not just going to sing like, vague political anthems. We're not going to sing like really just aggressive tough guy lyrics. We're going to talk about literally our emotions, which is, I guess, where it came from. Yeah.
yeah, and there's definitely political stuff. He's, the song "Money" is very political, right? And talking about
Yeah. Yeah.
society and all that stuff. And I'm sure, like, I don't know how old they were when they recorded this. Obviously, a little bit older than they were for Minor Threat, but these are kind of things. You're finished high school now. You're trying to figure out your life, so it kind of all makes sense.
It's more mature, like obviously. It just feels like a much more like a mature evolution of Ian MacKaye. And I think it's one of the best records here. And
Yeah, what are you
I don't
gonna
know if
give
it's my
it here?
favorite. I think like overall this would be in like my number two slot. I think it's like one of the best records here. And I go back and listen to this all the time. I probably go back and listen to this maybe even more than like the first Minor Threat record
Oh wow,
nowadays, just
okay.
because yeah, I love the first Minor Threat record, but I feel like this just has so much more like depth to it. And of course, like the Minor Threat record, it's kind of like every song kind of sounds the same over and over again. But I
Hmm.
mean, that has its, place in in music for me and in punk for me. But this just more interesting overall.
Those songs are short enough to justify it too, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's a thing is too is like hardcore. Short songs, emotional hardcore. These songs are not short. Some of these bands, we'll get into them. It's like
yeah,
some
they're long.
crazy long songs. Um,
But yeah,
where would you put it?
I'm right there with you. I've also put it in my number two spot. I wouldn't say
Okay.
I would listen to this more than Minor Threat, but it's definitely up there, and I love hearing Ian on here, and yeah, it's just a great record. So
Yeah, and their only record too. So, um,
yeah, that's the
but
other thing. Like a lot of these were not here for very long. Like these bands
it was
span like a
short
couple
lived.
years, right? Yeah, like the
Yeah,
influence they had, crazy.
it's crazy because I feel like you don't hear bands talk about like Rites of Spring. Obviously, they're well known. People talk about them as influential bands, but I just don't remember bands themselves like going back and talking about like Rites of Spring and Embrace as like inspirations and stuff. Though obviously, you can even hear it inspiring like later pop punk and stuff, like from like even like some of the riffs and everything.
I believe. Let me read my mirror, no reflections on me.
We're on Rites of Spring now here.
Is
Um,
that also self-titled, right? Yeah.
so we actually listened to what was on Spotify. So I have the Spotify track list here, which is the end on end. And I think I even had a feeling something was off because like the first half is the self-titled LP, which you have right there.
Yeah.
And then the
Yes.
last like 5 songs are from All Through a Life, which is a separate EP, which actually is from
Oh,
like
okay.
1987. So the first songs are older than the later ones. And you know what? Actually, like realizing that, I was like, Embrace had put out their album after the self-titled Rites of Spring. So you kind of it kind of feels like they started, going into more that style on those later songs where it feels
Like
more
going more
emo.
the Embrace route.
Yeah, the more like emo kind of feeling. Whereas I feel like the first half, like this feels more like a punk hardcore record than some of these
Oh
other
yeah,
picks, right?
definitely. Definitely more like I think like the riffs are definitely different from like for what I want or for want of. Definitely feels like a standout track that's very different from a lot of the hardcore stuff there, and even like the vocals. Definitely how the lead singer is singing them and how he's like doing this kind of raspy like exhausted voice, like it's really like an aggressive passionate voice. It doesn't feel angry necessarily or doesn't feel like pissed off. It almost just feels like angry at everything around you or something like that. Like it's a different type of anger like
Yeah.
I think from other punk music.
I don't know if you could hear this too, but like I listen to a lot of the Dead Milkmen. And like his
Yeah.
voice sounds kind of similar, but like a more
I can see that.
angry
I can
emo
see that.
version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the vocalist sounds like an angry the dead milkman. I can see that.
Right.
Kind of has
Yeah.
that little more higher pitch sound to it than Embrace had to it. But this personally I think is my number one. I think this is like when I think of emotional hardcore, I think of Rites of Spring before I even do Embrace. And this is like a record I listen to all the time. I have the record back there. Um I just think does it separates itself from hardcore in just such a distinct way, but it still feels like a hardcore punk record. I feel like it's like almost like a perfect record for what it's trying to do. So I think it's my number one.
And I think it makes sense why it feels more hardcore, just because it's the first one out of all these, and it's
Yeah,
so close to
this
when
is.
that was going on, right? Like,
Hmm.
but I have to give you a quote from the singer here, Guy Picado. I'm probably messing up that, but he said, "I've never recognized emo as a genre of music. I always thought it was the most retarded term ever. I know there is this generic commonplace that every band gets labeled that term hates it. They feel scandalized by it, but honestly, I just thought all the bands I played in were punk rock bands. The reason I think it's so stupid is that what, like the Bad Brains weren't emotional? What, they were robots or something? It just doesn't make any sense to me." So it's hilarious. Even these people who are like, the
Back
grandfathers
then,
of
yeah,
emo
they
are,
were
are, are like,
arguing
I don't
it.
want to be emo.
Anytime there's a subgenre in a fan base and people start attaching a name to a subgenre, there are people who reject it and there are bands who embrace it. Obviously, there are one who completely rejected the label. And obviously, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities. This is just, I feel like a lot of times subgenres are less a distinction in the sound of the music and more a distinction in the fan base. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
this is a new kind of fan base. Like the fan base of a DC emotional hardcore is like a different group of kids than like the early hardcore stuff, I feel like.
For sure.
Um
Yeah, they're definitely more mature and like smarter or something. Like it's not just like stupid violence for no reason kind of thing, right? I always
yeah,
think of like
yeah.
I think it's in the American Hardcore documentary. Ian McKay is like at a show. I think he's with his brother or something, and he sees somebody get like knocked out, and like he just has this realization like this isn't how it should be. Like I'm sick of all this violence. And then
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously right when he was starting emo. So I don't think I like this as much as you. I know this is probably like the go-to emo pick, right? But I'm actually
Okay,
putting
sure.
this in my spot 4.
Spot 4. I mean,
Spot 4.
these I feel like are all really good records and all pretty interchangeable. And it's just this is like one of the first ones I ever checked out where I was like, this is what people are calling emotional hardcore. This is, what all the punks on the forums are telling me is real emo. And I fell in love with it. I thought it was a great record. So
Yeah.
just to, time and place. Um,
All right,
what are
moving
we talking
on.
about next? Moss Icon, right?
We're on Moss Icon now. Yeah, the first non-Discord, first and only non-Discord record in here.
Still DC, still DC hardcore.
I believe
Um,
so. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. What'd you think of this oh my gosh, Moss Icon was another one that just wouldn't be mentioned all the time. They're just like one of those bands people mention, but I feel like maybe not as many people listen to as they are mentioned. What'd you think of this record?
Yeah. So right off the bat, like this was released in '93, but it was actually recorded in '88. So this is kind of at the end of when these records were kind of popping
Mm,
out and becoming popular or starting the genre. Um,
yeah,
Honestly, I didn't care as much for this one compared to the rest. This is going to be my number 5. I'll just say it right away. But I
sure.
don't know. There's like this spoken word kind of parts happening a lot that kind of takes me out of it. Um, the heavier stuff where he's just kind of screaming, I'm into all that. But I don't
Yeah.
know, I just kinda got bored with a lot of these songs, and I was, like, reading
Also,
up
they get
on the production and stuff, and, like,
yeah,
basically the singer and the guitar player hated each other by the end of it. This band broke up basically before the record actually came out, and, a lot of the annoyance the guitar player had was that the singer wanted to record the vocals, with the whole band rather than, like, separately,
separate. He didn't
and
want to track them separately.
yeah, he didn't wanna track them
Okay.
separately, so some of these songs has it tracked separately and some of them are a mix, and you can kinda actually tell, like, sometimes he's just kinda
you,
bleeding in.
Yeah, you need to go one way or the other. Like, both can work depending on what you want to do. Like, if you want to create more of like a raw kind of live performance feeling, then you just track it all together, and that can create really cool sounding records. It can create really raw sounding records. But if you really care about like individually like highlighting the instruments and in production all around, you'd want to track it. So I'd understand why the guitarist wouldn't want to do that, but I guess the lead singer really wanted to get that raw emotional feeling. And this record feels like a later emotional hardcore release as well. It just feels like they're playing off of obviously what Rites of Spring and Embrace already created and trying to build off of that and make a little bit more of a grandiose emotional hardcore record. But I don't know if it always hits. I think it's a really solid record, mostly. As a listen, some of these songs are incredibly long. There's
Yeah.
the title track, which I'm not even sure how to say the name of this album, but it's like Lynn Burnham Wits End Liberation Fly. The title track that is 11 minutes and 24 seconds long, so a bit pretentious,
Yeah.
if I have to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like the guy's vocals a lot. Like, I think the when he's like doing just kind of like the hardcore screaming, I feel like they honestly the lead singer might have had it down the best. They might have just should have tracked it as a band and went that hardcore route instead of trying to mix things up. Lead singer might have been right. I'm not sure, but I
We'll ne
like those sounding songs.
Yeah, we'll never know now. If we could only hear both versions, right?
This is your five?
This is my 5. Yeah, where are you putting this one?
Five as well. Mas Icon, you know, good band, good record, but it's just not as good as the other ones. I feel like it's a bit of
Yeah.
the
Uh,
um,
I was gonna say lyrically too, like there's a lot of weird kind of metaphors and stuff going on, and it feels like some of the songs are just about him maybe hating his mom. I don't know. It didn't seem the same lyrically as like the Embrace and Rites of Spring kind of song. So I don't know.
I mean, hating your mom is a universal. It could be hardcore, like suicidal tendencies. It could be skate punk with like gutter mouth. You know, lots of punk bands just kind of hate their moms. So, but I
Yeah,
love my mom. So,
yeah,
shouts out to
yeah.
moms everywhere.
To all the moms out there, we love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, forgive your mother, Moss Icon. That's all I have to say. All right, that's all
Uh,
you got. You only get one.
All right, let's move on here to Gray Matter.
Cause the wells run dry. I don't know, can you give me a brew? What you gonna do? Cause you can't go home, say what.
Yeah, this is the one I never heard. I've definitely heard the name of the band, but I never listened to this until we decided to do this. Definitely the most like just kind of straightforward punk sounding one. I feel like. And when was this released?
So this is 1985. Um,
1985.
and Ian
Yeah.
McKay produced this as well, so he was involved in this one.
I believe this is the only band that's not DC, though. I believe it's not like it's far. It's Annapolis, Maryland, which is like right across the street from
Right. It's
DC,
still on
which is
Discord, like, you know,
yeah.
it is the
So,
same.
um, I like the vocals. It feels a lot more straightforward, more punkish. It feels less like an emotional hardcore record than the rest of these. If we're like looking at it as like a subgenre, like it doesn't sound as much like Rites of Spring and Embraced, and sounds more almost like could be more like circle jerkish or something like that, or kind of earlier hardcore. Definitely is sounds like a much earlier hardcore record. There's definitely melodic moments, but overall, I don't think it's bad or anything. It's just I don't know if it's feels as distinct or as unique as the other records. What do you think?
I actually have the opposite. I think it does sound pretty unique compared to the other ones. Like, to me,
Really?
this feels like it's more garage rock, and like there's kind of
Sure,
surfy
sure.
riffs going on, and I read like their influences are more like rock bands like the Rolling Stones and that kind of stuff.
That
Uh,
makes a lot of sense.
right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
can kind of hear it, and like there's kind of these like cooler solos happening, which I don't necessarily hear on the other records. The other ones don't seem to have these big guitar solos like this does.
It definitely has like a surfy vibe to it, like a little bit of like East Bay Ray kind of guitar moments on this. I'm saying not unique as like the record um uh it just doesn't sound like the rest of the bands. I guess I'm just trying to say, like, it doesn't sound as much like an emotional hardcore record. It definitely sounds
For
like
sure.
it's taking its roots like from pub rock and, like you said, the Stones and early hardcore, uh and just adding a little bit of that melodic element. But you like this one a lot? Is it like going pretty high?
Not like my number one. It's going to be my number three here. But there also the other
Okay.
thing I thought was interesting. Like, there's kind of this eeriness to the songs, and
Yeah.
like even the album art's pretty eerie. But the bass
Oh yeah.
player in this band actually went on to create the 30 Days of Night graphic novel, and
Really?
he made the movie too. Like, he wrote the movie. So
What?
that's pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh, that's awesome.
so I was like, it
Okay,
kind of
okay.
makes sense.
That's
He's
cool.
making horror movies, right? And this feels kind of horror. So
It does.
yeah,
It feels kind of like early horror punk a little bit too. I feel like it could almost be in like that cat. They could have like went on tour at the Misfits and fit right in as well.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Yeah,
too. But yeah, this is going to be my number three pick.
I think this will be my number four pick. So, um, what? So what? So obviously we're talking about Dag Nasty next. Dag Nasty's record. Can I say?
I heard this, I heard that. What do I believe? It's hard to give, it's hard to get. And once you've lost it, it's always gone.
And what is your open slot?
My number one is my open slot, so this is going to be my
Okay, so
number
number
one.
one. You're going number one. I'm going number three. Oh, dude, it feels bad to put Dag Nasty number three. I feel like I might mulligan Dag Nasty over Embraced. Now that I'm thinking about it, I totally forgot about it, but we'll leave it as it is. I'm not going to change it, but this Dag Nasty record is excellent. Like, it's so incredibly good.
Oh my
This
god,
is the
yeah.
one. Yeah, this is the one probably most people who listen to like skate punk and are the '90s punk that we talk about on the channel most. This is the one they're the most familiar with because they were signed to Epitaph, right, for a while. They have like an Epitaph
Afterwards, yeah,
released.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is Discord, right?
This is still Discord. This is
Yeah,
1986, so it's kind of like in between a couple of these here. Like, it's a little bit older than Embrace.
it feels much more fleshed out in a lot of ways. Like it definitely feels like we're leaning towards the future, which is like nardcore and melodic hardcore, kind of in skate punk and stuff like that. It definitely seems like one of the more accessible records here, and one of the easiest ones to kind of put on.
Th-
I feel like Dag Nasty. I feel like the record's so good. I feel like it needs to be higher than three. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, like, okay, so I just feel like this is the proper successor to Minor Threat. Like, this has the most
Yeah.
Minor
Okay.
Threat feel to it, but like more polished with like better riffs and stuff going on. And
The riffs are really good.
I
Mm.
I love the vocals, like, no hate on Dave Smalley, but I just wish I could hear this with Ian MacKaye singing. Like, I feel like that would just be so cool to experience. Have two versions of this, just just
I
just
could
to hear
hear
it.
Ian
You know?
MacKaye on this so easily. I think you're right. I feel like he could hop on this and easily kill it. I mean,
Right?
Dave Smalley is the man. Dave Smalley also eventually Down by Law,
Yeah, Down by Law,
and
All.
what all as well. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
been in so many bands. Just an absolute amazing frontman, a great underrated one of the more underrated punk vocalists that people don't really talk about. And he's had his fingers on just so much influential punk bands. A lot of punk bands that are like your favorite punk band type bands,
For
like Dag
sure.
Nasty feels like that. So does, oh my gosh, what did I say? Down by Law definitely feels like that. But yeah, this record I feel like is really fleshed out. It feels really fresh. It doesn't feel dated too. That's what I will say. The other records feel like they are the 1985 records. It feels like they were released and they kind of remain within the bounds of that DC emotional hardcore scene in the mid 80s. I feel like this Dag Nasty record feels like it kind of transcends that a little bit, and it feels like it's not as dated. I don't know. Do you get that vibe from it?
Yeah, for sure. And like I know like I love Kid Dynamite and Lifetime and all those kinds of types of bands, right? And they always
Hmm.
quote this as like an influence, right? And I can
Yeah.
totally hear that sound here. Like had I not known about Dig Nasty, like I would think Kid Dynamite was doing something cool, but like they are, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're borrowing so much from this that like yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's awesome. And I would say this is a 10 out of 10 for me. I love every song on this album. So
I think so. I think the three records that we have here, Rites of Spring Embrace and Dag Nasty, I think they're all kind of like up there in 10 out of 10 territory, where I feel like they're really just strong records overall. And I feel like this kind of scene that happened in DC is really strong. I think this is like a great subgenre to like visit. I think it's a great one to start this little journey off with as well.
yeah, I meant to
Um,
say this earlier. Like, I didn't realize that emotional hardcore is actually like Fugazi, right? Like
yeah.
emotional hardcore. All these bands basically are the parts to build the Megazord, right? Of like like in Power Rangers
Yes.
when they all combine. Like Fugazi
Yeah.
is the Megazord of emotional hardcore, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually it became like post-hardcore, right? And post-hardcore had a lot of influence and just everything, post-hardcore, another subgenre that is incredibly hard to pin down. What the hell even is it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So when we get to that one, we'll do it. But I guess I have Dangassi at 3. It doesn't feel right. It feels like it should be 2 or 1, but it's okay. I'm just gonna lock in what I had. I actually totally forgot that Dag Nasty was at the end. um,
Yeah.
but
It
yeah, I
happens.
feel like all of these are strong records. Overall, we're gonna do at the very end a 1 out of 5 rating. What would you give emotional hardcore based on just our initial listen with these 5 records?
All
One through
right. I'm
5.
giving it a 4 out of 5.
Me too. I
Yeah.
think it's super strong. It's not. It's got limitations, right? It's dated to some degree. It is very limited in the range of sounds that it really is. It's really just that DC scene in the mid '80s, and that's basically all it is. So it's definitely got its limitations, but I think for what it is, it's really really strong. So
Yeah, like it's not my favorite type of punk rock ever, but it's really, really good. And yeah, like it's also losing points just because it's confusing to like, what does this even mean? Like people are like, it's just the lyrics, it's just the emotion and the vocals. It's confusing. So
have you ever seen that emo copy pasta? That is this dude like ranting and raving about real emo.
no.
I'll send it to you. You should post it up on screen. It's
Okay.
just basically this guy. He's just like bands like American football and are not real emo. Real emo is only DC emotional hardcore from the 80s. It's like a rant paragraph long. It's like a legendary copy pasta. I'll send it to you. It's
Well, at
pretty
least that
great.
guy's not confused, it sounds like. He's very,
well,
very informed.
Well, people will use that for like anything now. It's like you don't know what real ska is, and they'll just like people think ska is real Big Fish and Mustard Plug, but real ska is the
It's Hepcat.
slackers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Hepcats, the specials. You guys don't know anything. Um, but yeah, I guess we're at the end here. Let's figure out what we're going to be checking out next.
All right,
So
let's
we'll
get
pull up
this
that
wheel up.
wheel of a ridiculous amount of goofy ass punk rock subgenres. So I'm so curious what we're gonna do. It could be pop punk, or it could be like cold wave fucking weird new wave shit.
Yeah, what are we gonna get
So,
ourselves into here? I'm gonna click it. Let's spin this wheel.
you got to tell me what it is. I can't see it.
Yeah, yeah.
What do we
It's
got?
gonna be Oi. All right,
Oi?
that's
Oh,
fun.
that's
I like
fun.
Oi. Yeah.
Yeah, that's simple. That's easy to do. Okay. Yeah. What is Oi? I feel like that's another one. Like, what is Oi? Is Rancid Oi?
Maybe sometimes. No Effects sometimes has Ois in their songs. The Bouncing
Yeah,
Souls
they say
too,
Oi.
right?
Bouncing Souls. Yeah, they're the same. Bouncing Souls say Oi. Is Bouncing Souls an Oi band? We'll consult the internet. So, but
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to go to punkrockradio.limitedrun.com to support the channel. You can buy t-shirts and records and all sorts of stuff. Just check it out, browse it around, see anything you like, and we'll get it sent out to you. So thank you guys for watching, and peace out.